Many residents travel to the mainland and abroad as the Easter holidays begin. Victoria Park holds beach volleyball trial matches for the national games. And protests at Harvard and other universities against Donald Trump. Good evening, happy Good Friday. This is TVB News. The 4-day Easter holiday begins today, which is Good Friday. Hundreds of thousands of people swamped multiple border crossings to make their way to the mainland. To cope with the huge volume of passengers, the MTR introduced crowd control measures. As of 4 p.m., 656,000 people have left the city through various land checkpoints. Samantha Lee reports.
Early this morning, drivers heading off to the mainland were met with traffic congestion on the Shenzhen Bay Bridge. Long queues of traffic could be seen stretching down the highway. On the first day of the Easter break, it took around 1 hour to reach the Shenzhen Bay port on the bridge, compared to the usual 5 minutes. This resident said his family gave up plans to visit the mainland today because of the crowds and will try again over the weekend. This woman said it cost her $360 to take a taxi to the port, which was $100 more than she expected, but said it was worth it for the Easter holiday. This lady said she was going to spend a couple of days in Chamlong. She also said she would prefer to explore new destinations in the mainland instead of staying in Hong Kong over the holidays. On the other side, at Hong Kong Zhuhai-Macau Bridgeport, there was a steady stream of outbound travelers heading for the mainland. Almost every check-in counter was open to cope with the long queues. This resident said she was used to queuing, so the waiting time did not dampen her holiday spirit. This woman expected immigration clearance to take at least 90 minutes. Meanwhile, the West Kowloon station was also packed with crowds this morning. Families carried suitcases to take the high-speed trains. Shanshui station was also busy, with many travelers being elderly people. As a crowd control measure, some East Rail 9 trains departing from Admiralty terminated at Tai Po Market Station instead of Lo Wu or Lok Ma Chau. Border crossing travelers had to transfer at Tai Po Market. The Immigration Department anticipated there will be some 6 million outbound and inbound trips over the course of Easter, with 5 million people entering and leaving via land borders. Lo Wu, Lok Ma Chau and Shenzhen Bay Port are expected to be busier than usual. Around 160,000 to 220,000 people are expected to pass through those 3 checkpoints every day during the Easter holidays on average. The authorities estimated the coming Monday will see the most people coming back to the city. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong International Airport was busy as residents travel overseas for the Easter break. Large numbers of passengers came as they got ready to fly to various holiday destinations. During the Easter holidays, there's an average of nearly 1,100 flights taking off and landing daily, marking a 10% year-on-year increase. The airport authority called on passengers to use public transport to reach the airport and to allow sufficient time for check-in. Beach volleyball trial matches kicked off at Victoria Park ahead of the 15th National Games to be held in Hong Kong, Guangdong Province, and Macau this November. Mimo Singhai reports.
A beach volleyball match at Victoria Park. The 3-day National Games trial event started at 9:30 a.m. 9 men's and 8 women's teams took part in the matches. The rainy weather was not a problem for the watching spectators at Victoria Park.
It's pretty fun for us. We always enjoy watching volleyball, and we play a little bit of beach volleyball ourselves. It's fun to watch it when it's not so hot, but at the same time, I wish that it wouldn't rain so much.
Spectators must present a ticket handed out through the Volleyball Association of Hong Kong upon arrival. while a small number of tickets are reserved for distribution on site. A beach volleyball athlete said free admission is a good idea.
Because we know raising the public aware to know about water sport. I'm looking for that government can be promote more to support Kano athlete because we're so proud to play in Hong Kong.
A beach volleyball match is played in the best-of-3 format. The first 2 sets are worth 21 points, while the decider is at 15 points. More people arrived to watch the matches in the afternoon as the weather improved. It is not the first time beach volleyball matches have been held at Victoria Park. To set up the volleyball courts, the sand-spreading process had to start a few days before the event. Memos 9, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping returned to Beijing after concluding his visit to 3 Southeast Asian countries. The Chinese president earlier took a special plane back to China from Phnom Penh International Airport. Cambodian Senate President Hun Sen bid farewell to Xi at the airport. Large crowds of locals and Chinese residents of Cambodia gathered outside the airport to give the president a send-off. Cambodia was the last stop of Xi's visit. He previously traveled to Vietnam and Malaysia. U.S. President Donald Trump signaled he could reach a trade agreement between the U.S. and China after the tariff war shocked global financial markets. However, Trump said a deal over the fate of social media platform TikTok may have to be brokered at a later date as tariff negotiations continue. Daniel Rao reports.
Speaking to reporters at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump said he didn't want to raise his tariffs higher because at a certain point it makes it where people aren't going to buy. Trump's comments suggested a diminished appetite for sharply higher across-the-board tariffs on dozens of countries. This after markets reacted violently to their April 2nd introduction. The Republican president slapped 10% tariffs on most goods entering the U.S., but delayed the implementation of higher levies pending negotiations. Still, he hiked rates on Chinese imports after Beijing retaliated with its own countermeasures. China said it will not respond to a numbers game with tariffs, and a signal across-the-board tariff rates would not rise further. Trump said China had been in touch with his administration since the imposition of tariffs. He expressed optimism China and other nations could reach trade deals with the U.S.
I think that we will make a deal with China. I think we've had some very good talks, but we will have some very good talks remaining. And, you know, I view it, and some people say, oh, rush. I think we have a lot of time. Talking with everybody, you know, the problem is there's only so many hours in the day. I think we're going to make a deal with China. We're going to make a deal with everybody. And if we don't make a deal, we'll just set a target, and we'll live with that, and it'll be fine too.
While the two sides are in touch, sources told Reuters high-level exchanges of the sorts that would lead to a deal have largely been absent. Speaking with reporters, Trump repeatedly declined to specify the nature of the talks between the countries or whether they directly included Chinese President Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, Trump has repeatedly extended a legal deadline for ByteDance to divest the U.S. assets of TikTok, the short video app used by 170 million Americans. The U.S. president said a spin-off deal would likely wait until wider trade issues are settled.
Well, we have a deal for TikTok, but it'll be subject to China, so we'll just delay the deal till this thing works out one way or the other. And I think it's a good deal for China. The TikTok deal is very good. TikTok is good for China, and I think they'd like to see us do a deal, especially the deal that we have pretty much done with some of the best companies in the world.
Dan Rao, TV News.
President Trump is escalating his fight with top U.S. university Harvard. Trump is threatening to block international students, a major source of income for the Ivy League school, and withdraw tax exemption status. Trump says Harvard and others are anti-Semitic and abusing privileges. But Harvard and its students are putting up a fight. David Garrett reports.
One of America and the world's best-known universities, Harvard, often in the news for groundbreaking research and innovative ideas, today for taking the fight to Donald Trump. These students and faculty members say they're standing up for their existence. Harvard management have refused to change admissions and teaching programs and give in to President Trump.
Because I think Harvard's a disgrace. I think what they did was a disgrace. They're obviously anti-Semitic.
Unity on university campus, but foreign students could be banned.
Speaking here today comes at a great deal of personal risk for both me and Sial. But we're doing this because we love this country. We love the values that it stands for, and because we care about its future.
It is incredibly scary, and I've talked to so many international friends who are scared of speaking up, and you know, at this point, even if you don't speak up, just because you go to Harvard, you might get deported from this country.
Harvard says it has taken steps to address anti-Semitism as it faces a funding freeze. They've been asked by the government to provide records of what the Homeland Security Secretary called illegal violent students. The university says it is an attack on freedom of expression.
The independence of the university is absolutely essential to doing the good work that we do in science, in medicine, in social science, in the humanities. It is a condition for free thought and the search for truth.
Tax-exempt status, I mean, it's a privilege. It's really a privilege, and it's been abused by a lot more than Harvard, too, by a lot more than Harvard. So we'll see how that all works out. I don't think they've made a final ruling. I don't believe they've made a final ruling, but it's something that these schools really have to be very, very careful with.
As the president suggests other educational institutions could lose tax-exempt status, students at other top schools rallied in support. At Columbia University in New York, they called Trump a fascist amid suggestions Harvard's Middle East Studies Department should be under government supervision. This university has agreed to some Trump demands after federal funds were paused. Columbia will limit protests to students by checking IDs. There were demonstrations across many universities last year against US support for Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza. David Garrett, TVB News.
Still ahead, the first Hong Kong International Food Tasting Festival is underway. Welcome back. The 5-day Hong Kong International Food Tasting Festival being held at the Convention and Exhibition Center is underway. Some exhibitors said there are more visitors than expected, despite many people traveling elsewhere during Easter. Sakura Ip has more.
Turkish coffee, nuts and dried fruit from Central Asia. Cocktails and fine wines from various regions are all available for tasting without having to travel abroad. The 5-day International Tasting Festival is making its debut at the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center, attracting over 1,000 exhibitors from 30 countries and regions. Here, visitors are welcome to fill their empty stomachs and shopping bags. This woman bought 4 cans of abalone for $200 and some Chinese wine. She said they are good deals. She has spent $1,000 so far. Thousands of Hong Kong residents are traveling abroad during Easter, but exhibitors said the number of visitors is higher than expected. Apart from food sampling, some are offering discounts to boost business. This exhibitor is offering buy one get one free for its frozen durian. This wine exhibitor is trying to tap into the local market through the fair.
Spanish wine is, it comes down the list when it comes to French, Italian, but we're trying to do our own thing in Hong Kong and grow the profile of Spanish wine, and it certainly helps from letting people sample the wine.
The festival is running through the Easter holidays. For family visitors, children can enjoy the facilities here when their parents are shopping nearby.
Festival entry tickets cost $10. Senior citizens and disabled people can enter for free. Sakura, TVB News.
The Customs and Excise Department today held an open day to support the 10th National Security Education Day. The open day was held at the Hong Kong Customs College in Tuen Mun. A dragon and lion dance was performed in the presence of Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Chuk Wing Hing and Commissioner of Customs and Excise Chan Tse Tat. Many parents brought their children. Detection dogs became the stars of the event as visitors queued to take pictures with them. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.